everybody. Welcome to the Shrimp City Report, the Low Country's most exclusive, is it exclusive this week? I think it is.
Yeah.
Podcast covering everything from entertainment, leisure, sports, and of course, food and beverage. And we're here with a juggernaut of the Low Country food scene for several decades. Who do we have today, DJ?
Yeah, we have David Bessinger here today, and I'm already hungry. Did you bring anything for us?
It's in my trunk. My car. Everybody asks me that.
Downside of doing an audio virtual podcast is you can't eat whatever's brought over. So
Right.
Yes.
You can imagine it. We could always play act.
Yeah.
So, David, your name, Bessinger, is ubiquitous with barbecue in the Low Country in the Charleston area. Your bio really goes a long way back. Do you want to give us a little kind of some introspective on you and, the 5,000-foot view of how you got into this?
I sure can. Well, my dad had left the Midlands of South Carolina, Orangeburg, and came to the Citadel in 1951. Well, graduated from the Citadel in 1951. And so he went back to Orangeburg and helped out with his dad on the farm in a restaurant we had actually in Holly Hill at the time in the 50s, and decided to move back to Charleston in 1958, 59, I think it was. So from there, he opened up a restaurant with one of his brothers in 1961. And so I got into the business at 10 years old, obviously working part-time for them. And it was a drive-in back in the day. So did that for a while. I obviously went to high school, graduated, went to college, and came back and decided to get into the restaurant business. And that was actually 1981. So from there, I worked. He opened up Melvin's Barbecue. And from there, I haven't stopped until just recently. I've kind of semi-retired, but I'm still in the restaurant business, just trying to keep up with everybody else, serving good barbecue pork and serving the original mustard-based barbecue sauce that my granddaddy invented in 1933. So that's about it.
Yeah, that's what kind of just blew my mind, how far back this goes. I mean, it spans multiple generations now. What was it like seeing barbecue, not just for your restaurant, but like barbecue styles evolve since then? I know you in particular were big on bringing in wood smoking, right, into the restaurant.
I have. Back in the day, we used gas-assisted pits, which were called Southern Pride and Old Hickory, and that was in the 70s. Before that, I don't know what my dad was using. I can't recall because I was too young to remember that. But I don't think it was a wood burning pit. But at any rate, the years went by, and I started noticing that all wood was starting to come back around. So I decided to make a change and to go with these all wood smokers I bought from Texas, and that was probably sometime maybe 2010. I did this, and it's definitely made a big difference versus the gas assisted pits. You can definitely tell the difference in the taste and the smell. But I've seen a lot change in Charleston throughout the years. There weren't a lot of barbecue restaurants at the time, but the ones that were here, we were able to stay and put in Charleston, and they left, But at any rate, yes, a lot of people come to Charleston. Don't have a problem with it. I think competition's great, keeps you on your toes, and it's enough to go around.
Yep.
In Charleston nowadays.
Right. To your point about there wasn't a lot of barbecue. So I'm a native. I'm 57. I grew up in Charleston. So Bessinger's really was the center of the universe for barbecue for us. It was really all I knew. Mustard based was all I knew for years and years. In fact, as a high schooler at St. Andrews High playing football, we used to have to run this 1.5 mile loop before practice. It was known as the Bessinger run, where we would run. We would run out as far as the tip of your restaurant, and then run back, or to that particular Bessinger's and run back. And it was quite miserable, smelling just all the awesome food and then having to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back and play football in that humidity. I guess Melvin's is best known for barbecue. I would like to, I mean, I don't know if you're a historian on, 1933 when what was your grandfather started the
Yes, it was.
mustard
Yeah.
base,
He invented it then, but yeah, he
invented
didn't.
it. What was the impetus? Just wanting to try something new?
I don't know. My dad never
Okay.
told me that. I never asked that question, but he just told me that one day he walked in on the farm. It had a shed, and he walked in on his dad when he was 10 years old, and he was, born in 23, and walked in and saw his dad making something, and it was some type of sauce, and
Hmm.
and so from there, you know, they started cooking hogs in the ground, and neighbors would come by and so forth and feast on that on the weekends. And not until 1939 did he get into the restaurant business, which
Hmm.
was called the Holly Hill Cafe. And that only lasted 2 years because it was during the Depression. So he was a logger by trade, before that. And so he went back to logging. And then, and so this is a long story. It's not complicated, but it is kind of interesting. But
Hmm.
my father fought in World War II and then came back and had saved about $1,500 back then with trading his cigarettes to the soldiers.
Really?
So he saved that money. And so his dad had asked him to please buy this piece of property on Main Street in Holly Hill in 1945. And so in 46, they opened it and it was called Joe's Restaurant. And so from there, when my dad graduated from the Citadel and then, came back and worked there, he noticed that I-26 was being developed. And he knew that Holly Hill was probably going to be washed up. So he decided to move to Charleston.
Oh,
And
okay.
then from
Well,
there, his brother and him opened up Piggy Park on Savannah Highway, which
hmm.
is now called Bessinger's Barbecue.
Right.
And so in 1971, they switched the Piggy Park name and opened it up called Bessinger's Barbecue. So I bet you in 1985, when you were running,
Hmm.
I was working on that grill. Probably saw you running by because I remember seeing the Citadel track team always running
Yeah.
up and down that highway
Yep.
back in those days. And so, yeah, that's how it all evolved. And so in the 80s, we decided to open up these restaurants under his name, Melvin's.
Hmm.
And at one time, we had, 8 restaurants from Somerville to Hilton Head, downtown, the Gomatisserie. We had a place behind the Roper Hospital. We called it the University Center.
Hmm.
Had one on Orange Grove Plaza, where Bobby Hartnett's place is today.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yep, yep. And so,
Yeah.
and then we had Savannah Highway in Melvin's and Mount Pleasant, Melvin's on James Island.
I have a question about, okay, it's a family business. This is kind of a two-part question.
Yeah,
Were you expected to pick up the reins of the family business, and did you go to college for business?
I was not expected. Actually, my dad said, "Get your education. This is a hard job, a hard business."
Hmm.
And I went to junior college and then went to the College of Charleston afterwards. And so I never did finish or get my diploma, but I was studying business. He actually wanted me to go to Florida State to go to the hotel restaurant course they had down there, but I chose not to do that. And so I worked for him all my life, learned a lot of the things that he was, I guess, just learned from common sense or maybe from his dad, From there, I just worked and kind of observed other people, other franchises, and saw what they were doing and kind of followed those footsteps. And to this day, I'm still learning.
Hmm.
Learned more in the past 10, 15 years about barbecue than I ever have because it definitely was a lot different. We weren't serving the amount of meats that we are serving today.
Well,
Back then it was solely more barbecue pork, ribs. We served a top round beef that was mostly for roast. We made roast beef sandwiches
okay.
and things of that nature.
It's incredible the way you describe it. It definitely sounds like, based off what I know of Bessinger's and Melvin's,
Yeah.
I've always pictured you and your family as a giant barbecue mafiosa. Like you run the town, you run the state.
Yeah.
Just with how much y'all have grown since then. But the fact that you started, or I guess the whole family, your great grandfather started from such simple means is very inspiring.
And the older I've gotten, I've got into the history part. We came over here from Germany, and I was just telling my wife this other day. I said, the Germans, they loved sausages, they loved hot peppers, they loved mustard,
Right,
and
yeah.
they all settled in Orangeburg in the 1700s. The Bessingers did. A lot of Germans did, and I guess that's where it came from. I don't know really how that evolved, but
Yeah, it might be in your
we
Yeah.
DNA.
definitely
So
could be.
we've been talking a lot about barbecue and mustard based barbecue. For any of those not out of the South, they might not be aware that there's basically been a barbecue sauce war going on in the South for the past, I'd say, 80 years now.
Yeah, 80 some years.
Yeah. So do you have a take on that? And it's usually that at least the main ones in South Carolina and North Carolina are barbecue versus vinegar based, right?
Every state is a different region. Gosh, forever I grew up on mustard based barbecue sauce, so I never even heard of vinegar barbecue sauce or anything like that. And people would come to our restaurants in the 70s, and what's up with this mustard based barbecue sauce? And so yes, it's definitely evolved. My dad came out with the Southern red sauce in 1972 just for that reason, because he could see that other people from other parts of the country were coming in. So he wanted to come out with a different sauce. And that's where we got our Southern red sauce today, or some people call it the hickory red. But at any rate, now, I offer a spicy sauce. I haven't bottled it yet. I'm working on that now. I've even come out with the Alabama white sauce, and I've even
Oh,
come
wow.
out with a vinegar sauce,
There you
believe it
go.
or not.
There
And I
you
have
go.
to say, I have to give credit. One of my pit masters made this for me,
Okay.
and now I'm going to bottle that. And so, yeah, I don't try to cater to everybody, but hey, I knew that I should have some different sauces available.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
But one
absolutely.
thing, one thing we don't do, and we don't change the way we do our barbecue pork. We chop it up and we mix the mustard barbecue sauce with it. So if you come into Melvin's to ask for it to be dry, it's not going to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
been serving it. We've been serving it for 85 years that way.
And I am a absolute staunch chopped barbecue. I really don't like the pulled. I'm used to the
Yeah,
chopped.
Yeah.
I like the
So,
chop.
you talk about how the sauces have expanded. What about the menu in whole? I mean, how has it evolved? You said earlier that you had originally started with pork ribs and some top round or some top,
Yes.
where are you
Well,
going now? I mean, what have you seen? Do you have to change with any other, I guess, trends?
yeah, I have. I could see the name, brisket coming to Charleston. So I had never cooked a brisket, never went out to Texas to learn it. But I started just, researching, studying, trial and error, and started bringing that to the menu. Still learning, but I think we have some very good brisket. And obviously, I've changed the style of ribs that we serve. We used to serve a. It's funny. We started off with serving spare ribs in the 90s. I went to a St. Louis style cut, and now I'm back to the spare ribs. We also do a smoked turkey. We brought chicken wings onto the menu. That's about it right now. Oh, one more thing. I just came out with I had a real famous chef here in Charleston that came up with a sausage recipe for me.
Oh,
Actually,
cool.
a Texas style sausage. And so we just started adding that to the menu as of last week. And
Do
it's
you have a
very
lot
good.
of people asking for the smoked turkey around this time of year?
Obviously, we do,
Yeah.
and I don't do a lot of I don't do any whole turkeys,
Mhm.
for catering packages. We use a turkey breast for our restaurants, and that's what we serve for right now. We might get into the selling the whole turkeys next year, but I tell you, I only have a certain amount of pits, and I got
Yeah,
to keep
yeah.
those things rolling for my pork and my brisket and ribs.
Right. Or I'm sure that holiday season is going to just be hammered for you. What's a typical holiday season like, and what do you expect this year?
Well, we've already been getting a lot of phone calls at our catering department and for orders such as, collards, sweet potato souffle, cobblers, and mac and cheese and turkey, and obviously pork. And a lot of people have been already ordering that right now. You can't get that at the you can't call the restaurant. You have to call our catering department for that.
Mhm.
But it's definitely it's very busy, and will be up until Wednesday.
Okay. And I guess it just resets for Christmas, the same deal.
Well, Friday's always a pretty good deal, a pretty good day. Friday nights kind of slow down. I think
Okay.
everybody's got leftovers, and then Saturday picks up, and then here we are into the Christmas season.
Mhm.
When it is like next week, I think. Yeah.
I think a lot of folks or a lot of consumers are now adopting the let's get a place that we like, a reputable place, and let's go ahead and get our holiday dinner catered or, taken out in that fashion. Because I think maybe some people have some family traditions with food that they love, but there's nobody's going to be making Bessinger's quality stuff in their kitchen. I can
No.
Yeah.
almost guarantee you that. So,
Right.
so we're
Well,
advocates of that.
yeah, I tell you, with Melvin's, I tell you, it's just I've eaten probably too much pork in the past and a lot of cheeseburgers,
Hmm.
and now I'm on a diet. You know,
Yeah,
just
that I understand.
eating that continuously every day when you're working,
Yeah.
you can't help but eat it.
Yeah, I think I don't want us to pass off on or overlook two of the things that I loved when I was a kid. Number one, you mentioned your cheeseburgers. They were
Yes.
incredible when you still have the drive up park, Piggy Park. Those were incredible. And
Yes.
the absolute, in my opinion, the holy grail of anything that is of Bessinger's or of Melvin's was or is the onion rings.
Yeah, he talks about them all the time. He's a big fan.
Yeah, I always ask my dad, where did we get this recipe from? Because there's only a few of us that make it
Mhm.
exactly like that. But he could not recall where he got that recipe from. But I'm about to come back out with packaging it like I had probably about 8 years ago, and that way they can buy it online or in the
Mhm.
Oh
restaurant,
man.
Nice.
and then they can make
Don't
their own onion rings at home if they
don't tell
wanted
him
to.
that. He's gonna buy out the whole supply.
Yeah.
He's gonna be frying everything he can with that stuff.
Yeah, we do have listeners from out of town, tourists pick it up, and of course locals. For someone who hasn't had a onion ring in that fashion, can you describe it for us?
It's three simple ingredients, and I call it a homemade donut style onion ring because it's not your typical frozen, real crispy type onion ring. It's got a lot of batter to it. It's fat and it's delicious. But I'll have to tell you a real funny story. I don't
Mhm.
even know if I told my wife there, but when I was a kid working for my dad, I'd get so hungry and I'd get a spoon and go inside the refrigerator because we had this batter already made up.
Mhm.
We would just dip the spoon in there and just eat it right then. It was that good.
Well, the batter is
I probably should have eaten some French fries, but that batter was so good.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
just ate it straight. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the flavor plus the onion kind of steams into the batter, and it's like a big kind of onion donut.
Yeah. We put it in a donut machine, obviously,
Mhm.
filled with oil.
Mhm.
And so we cook it till it's golden brown. So, I registered that name golden.
Mhm.
So, for that particular region, it's the golden onion ring, and we call our sauce the golden secret recipe barbecue sauce.
Okay, okay, that's cool. So you've
Yeah.
jumped on those particular aspects, and I guess branding is a very important thing when you're a businessman or own food,
Most
own a
definitely.
restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess to that point, I see Melvin's barbecue sauce a lot. So clearly y'all are doing something right to be so forward on branding and stuff like that.
We are in the grocery stores right now, and we ship it online. Matter of fact, we have a special about to hit here Friday where we could be doing free shipping until the until January the 1st.
Mhm.
Oh,
Uh,
great.
and that's always a good plus for us during the holidays.
Tell me about the folks that work for you. Do you have a lot of long time employees?
Yes, we do. I have to say, in 1990, I decided to close the restaurants on Sunday to give everybody a day off.
Mhm.
and whether they go to church or they spend time with their family. And I think that's probably one of the key components there for keeping my employees happy. I have one lady, Betty McKinley, that's been working for me. She was 18, and I hate to say this over the air, Betty, but I'm going to. She's going to be 70 in January. And you don't come across people like that anymore. I got a couple other managers that have been with me for over 20 years. Not a couple, but at least three or four. So we try to treat it like a family.
Mhm.
I definitely give them 2 days off, but it's that Sunday. They know it. They have it off every week, and I probably could make more money on a Sunday than I could a Monday,
Mhm.
but it's important to us to have that Sunday off.
Yeah, and it's respectable as well for Sunday
Yeah.
and, on for other reasons. And
Mm-hmm.
that is interesting. So you're actually seeing not just your employees, but you're seeing them grow old with you. You're seeing their kids grow old, the family aspect. It must be very satisfying as well that you don't want to rest on your laurels, but just to know that you've made an impact enough that folks want to stick around.
Yeah.
And I got to back up a little bit. I need to give credit to another guy that worked for me for 35 years, and
Mhm.
he actually graduated from the Citadel in 1974, and his name was Mehdi Haramini,
Mhm.
and he was Iranian American, and so he came on board and worked for us until 2016, and he was another faithful, not only just an employee, but one of my GMs at the
Mhm.
time.
Oh, wow.
So yeah. So we've had a lot of people that have another person, Brenda Hayworth. She worked for me for 20 something years as well. So we've got a lot of employees that have been very faithful, honest, and dependable. And that's kind of hard nowadays to have that in the restaurant business.
It is.
Yeah,
And yeah.
absolutely.
So I guess we have to bring this up just for interest. How'd you get through COVID? You can make this as long or short as you want, but
Yeah.
what kind of
Sure.
challenges were those?
Goodness gracious. I tell you, it was a good thing we had a drive through.
Mhm.
I
Oh, yeah.
I hired a manager from North Carolina back in the 90s, and he said, I've never heard of a barbecue restaurant having a drive through. So, well, we've always had a drive through since the 70s when it started coming around. The drive-ins went away, and you could hear about a drive-through coming along. But so thank goodness we had it because that's where everybody went through our drive-through.
Mhm.
That kept us afloat right there. And those Uber and DoorDash were delivering then, but I don't know if we let them. I don't think we let them inside the restaurant.
Mhm.
But if it wasn't for the drive-through, I don't think we would have made it.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I guess that's what you
Mhm.
and the Beaufort drive-in theater have in common is
Yes.
that drive. It was booming after, so that's great.
Yeah, and getting through that and just coming out just as strong. Because let's see, don't you have some plans for a food truck in 2025?
Yes, we do. We've already had it made, and so now we're ready to wrap it here pretty soon, and
Mhm.
we got to get inspected by the fire department and then DHEC, and then I think we're ready to go. So we're going to try to hit some festivals here
Mhm.
and just see how that goes. I've been wanting to do this for about 10 years and just never got around to it. But now I got a son that's very interested in doing the food truck.
Mhm.
Trying to talk him into taking over the restaurant for right
Add
now.
another generation on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right now I think he's interested in doing the festivals, and I think this will be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
That will be. Let him cut his teeth on the food
Yeah,
truck and then take over the
that's right.
restaurants. I think the food truck's going
Most
to be
definitely.
the food truck's a no-brainer or a great idea is because one of the I frankly one of the best marketing for your restaurant is the olfactory senses,
The
the
smell, yeah.
smelling that, and it's kind of like you're going to have just a psychological reaction to have to go buy that and eat it.
Well, we're counting on it doing pretty well here.
Great.
Hopefully people will like it.
David, what else on the menu are you particularly proud of?
Most definitely our cheeseburgers.
Uh-huh.
So we've always been known to have great cheeseburgers, but in 1999, while I was on vacation, my manager called and said, David, Chef Emma Lagasse just came in our restaurant 2 days in a row. and he ended up voting us as having the best cheeseburger in America. And boy, when that article came out, and I'm gonna tell you where it came from. So it came out in Playboy magazine, and I was like, "What? We're in Playboy? Melvin's is in Playboy magazine. What are you talking about?" So he told me what was going on, and so lo and behold, they did an interview on Chef Emerald, and so when that article came out, we did frame it and everything, but my mom had got the white out
Of
and
course.
whited out Playboy. And that was a funny story. But yeah, he came in. I don't know why he came in, but I tell you, it took off like crazy. People magazine picked up on that, did a big article on my dad. CNN South America picked up on it,
Mhm.
and some other places did too. And it was, we've always been. A lot of people think that going to Melvin's and they're going to get just barbecue, but they don't realize we sell cheeseburgers, and we got some mighty fine ones too. I think about 50% of my business is cheeseburgers.
Yeah, and y'all have been all over the map when it comes to like awards or accommodations. Charleston Living's talked about you, but more importantly, Southern Living, which I read all the time. I
Yeah,
see like
yeah.
I've seen multiple stuff about you there. But yeah, your cheeseburgers are great. You still have a meat and three, which is one of
Mhm.
my favorite things at a barbecue. Is that tradition of a meat and three or a meat and two. So yeah,
Yeah, we have some great lunch specials, dinner specials. We came out with a smoked barbecue meatloaf.
Mhm.
We have a homemade chicken fillet sandwich we serve on a certain day of the week, and we have family night on Friday nights. On Tuesday nights we have our burgers are 50% off. So that's a big drawing right
wow,
there.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll be there.
So we're eventually coming out. We're going to test market the Texas dinosaur ribs, actually, what they call them. It's
Mhm.
the big ribs here,
Yeah.
and see if that's anything people want to eat at Melvin's. And we got a couple of other things that we're looking forward to coming out with in 2025.
Okay. So we'll wrap it up in a little bit, but you mentioned your son is helping you out with the food trucks. Do you have anybody else in the family that helps now or has helped in the past?
Yes, I got two daughters that are they all actually all the kids worked in the restaurant
Mhm.
business when they were teenagers, on all five of them. And well, actually four of them. Fifth kid is a special needs child, and she's at Clemson Light, by the way. I don't know if you ever heard of that
Yeah, we do know
program
it.
up there, but it's
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
she's
Clemson
so she's a
guys.
sophomore up there. Yeah, yeah. So she's excellent program. But at any rate, they all worked in high school, and I got two of my daughters now that are in my office helping out,
Mhm.
and then the son, our oldest daughter, she's a nurse, so she's going to stick with that. So
oh,
Okay.
that's great.
yep. And then I meant to say this too. Like Chris Hill and Mindy Hensley, Cody Austin, they've all been with me for over 20 years. They're still working for me, and they're young,
Mhm.
and so I can see them wanting to retire, work into their 50s. And so hopefully we're going to keep this thing running for another 25 years.
That's
Good.
great. Well, there's no better testament to a business than retaining folks, and frankly, your family wants to even work with you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's so good.
That's that's tough. I worked with
Yeah.
my dad, and that was a tough one. You know.
uh, okay, well, David, we appreciate you coming by for a chat. We will definitely check out the new menu items as they come out.
Okay.
We look forward to the food truck, and hopefully we can circle back and you can give us an update on that food truck.
That sounds good. It sure was. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, yeah.
So for DJ and our special guest, David, this has been the Shrimp City Report. Please come check us out on shrimpcityreport.com. That has all our links. And David, do you have any social media or website that we can reach you?
Yes, sir. Obviously, it's melvinsbbq.com. That's
Mhm.
where you can order our apparel, our sauces. Unfortunately, we don't serve our meats online, but as far as the sauce and rubs, that's where it is. melvinsbbq.com.
Thanks, David. And for the rest of y'all, have a great Thanksgiving and Christmas season. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks.